Hello, this is Lynn Brown, Brown's Custom Black Mesa Saddles, Saddletrees, obviously, because we build our own for our saddles. And I've started pattern work on that 30 years ago. But I'm always changing because you can never be too good. I definitely changed a lot after purchasing the Black Mesa Saddletree company. And I had my own tree company before that for many years. This is the LowDown Roper, and this is a 15 tree which builds out a 14.5. This tree right here is a 14.5 which builds out a 14. You always lose if you have a little bit of foam in the seat. This hasn't got much by the time it's stitched down, but you lose a little bit of seat room. You lose a 1/4 inch right here, leather. You lose about a 1/4 inch of leather underneath this, so you're going to lose close to 3/8 inch here. All in all, you're going to lose a 1/2 inch in the seat. If I measure it right here to here, I'm 14 3/4, 15 right to the stitching. I'm 14 right to here. So measuring the old-fashioned method, you got a 14-inch seat. If I measure I say old-fashioned, that's the modern method. If I measure the old-fashioned way to tell you how much room you have in the seat itself, I have exactly 11 inches. That's from the base of the swell to the point of the cantle. That is a 15 tree. That gives you room here for a rider with a 23-inch thigh and possibly even a little larger, but 21, 22, 23, measured right around here, circumference. That gives him the room, and most ropers want to be a little tight in the seat. Other things about the LowDown Roper. This notch right here is typically for a latigo strap. We put a latigo strap right onto here most of the time. Some people want the flank billet, and we put a flank billet on. But the latigo strap can come down from here, go through your flank cinch, and end up right here. It lets you cinch up a little tighter if you want with the latigo strap, and we use leather latigo strap back here. For the rigging, a little bit on the unique side, it is an open drop yoke. I drill the holes through these heavy, and they're quite heavy, stainless steel D-rings. I drill a hole through the top corner of the D-ring so that the solid copper rivet goes all the way through. The little spacer piece of leather in the center goes right up into the D where it squares off, comes back down to here, and is sewn in right there. So it can't move up or down, and it can't ever loosen accidentally moving up. The strongest, longest lasting way to attach a D-ring into a rigging. You have 2 full layers of good saddle skirting. You then have center layer that holds the D in place, and you're stitched all the way around. It's an open yoke. This gives you contact. I leave 1 layer of skirting right here. I lose 2 layers in the corner to keep them from, curling up. But through the rest of this, I use 1 layer of skirting and 1 layer of sheepskin underneath. That lets you feel the horse. It's almost like riding my dressage saddle. You feel a horse as soon as your leg comes off the tree. Stirrup straps are hung by a loop, and I don't have a set of loops on this tree. The seat underneath here is saddle skirting that's molded to the shape of the tree. Foam put on, upholstery leather put on that. Saddle skirting extends out right into here and is skived down on the outer edge. And then the seat is put on, shaped while it's wet, just like the base seat was underneath all of this. This is glued so that you have a smooth transition. The foam gives you the transition to the one-piece seat. Everything's then taken off. Everything is sewn together. Almost all the saddles you'll buy, there's a fake stitch here, and they're glued on. That's it. Fake stitch, put this in on the tree, and glue this baby down all through here. Yeah, we glue it down, but we first take it off and we stitch the whole thing. It makes for one long-lasting, tough saddle and seat on the saddle that can be lifted, repaired. If you have a wreck on your saddle and it ends up being really boogered up, you don't have to just tear it apart. You can open it up and work on it. Okay, a little more about the LowDown Roper, and that's a DM8 horn. This fork is low. A few complaints. I can't reach my horn. We had to make a special horn, and I patterned this horn myself. This horn has quite a little lip on the back side, if you see. Heelers love it. That lip right there helps keep the horn, the rope in place, excuse me. They all have a rawhide lip around the edge of the horn, and takes a lot of the rope wear from tearing up your horn. Everything's completely hand stitched through here. It's hand stitched up underneath here. The two layers of the rigging and the seat skirts. Something I do, other people don't. Your lacing, your braid right here, strictly through the rear housing. Got a very generous open channel all the way down. Why don't I cover it in leather? Why should I? I'm proud of my trees. Our trademark name, address, and phone number is right there. Black Mesa. And if you don't see it right here, you haven't got one of my trees. That's the difference, too. There's a lot of knockoffs in this industry, and I've been knocked off more than anybody. The saddletree, that is the saddle. The horn is brass. It's not going to break, boys. It's manganese bronze. And has a little 1/4 inch high quality plywood cap. So when they put the spacer layer on for the horn cover, they tack this. The tacks curl out when they hit this metal, and this holds the spacer on, which is what holds the complete horn on. Because you sew through that spacer with your bottom layer of the horn wrap and your top layer of the horn cover. You got a spacer layer in the middle. It's held the way it should be right there. It's fiberglass with what's called E-glass. This is aerospace. This is high performance boats, skis, things like this. E-glass, the thinnest, the strongest, and it conforms. It stretches. So it stretches around these edges. We cut thin strips. We go around the edges here, and that's what keeps all of this in one piece. The rest of the fiberglass is heavy 1.5 ounce mat. 1.5 ounces per square foot means it's very heavy compared to a piece of 8 or 10 ounce regular fiberglass cloth that's measured 8 or 10 ounces and gauged by the square yard. So, fiberglass mat is extremely strong. It's put in a ground seat that's quite thick and solid. It's put in from the bottom first. We use fiberglass in a kind of a putty, and we mix it ourselves, and it sets up via ultraviolet light. We fill that corner crack. This makes for a really nice arch shape that's very strong. And then we've got multiple layers of the heavy mat on the bottom. The E-glass, we can't wrap the mat up and around the edges, so we use the E-glass around the edges of the tree literally everywhere. And some of the glass gets wrapped around the edges, but you can't be assured of going all the way around the edge with a heavy mat. So the backbone is the ground seat. Many layers of cloth and resin. The resin's ultraviolet cured, so it fully saturates the cloth. You hardly see the cloth. It means that it also has time while we're in our dark room, so to speak. It has time to sink into the very dry wood that we use. This tree is built of aspen. It's got an extra layer of a regular piece of fir to get the width of this fork here. It's glued on, then it's turned out. There's some heavy lag screws that go through here. We don't use staples that hold the fork to the tree bars, but it's not a big deal once you completely cover in fiberglass like we have. I don't have my loops on this tree yet, but the loop goes right here. And Roper from Wyoming, we have these cast. I did the pattern work on these years ago. Then they're polished so that you don't rub your straps. But you have to pull your strap out. You have to oil it. You have to do that with any saddle, whether it goes over the bar of the tree or not. This eliminates the stirrup strap bump on the bottom of your bar. And I have ropers drive in here with white hair under their stirrup strap bumps and a horse that will not function at all. This fixes that. The difference, when you don't have to cut a full depth slot underneath here for the stirrup strap, look at how thick your bar is. This is where saddle trees break. Horse flips upside down, over backwards, wham on the tree, big horse. Chances of this breaking are nil. It's lifetime guaranteed if it does, and we don't just send you another tree. You send us a saddle, it comes back with the tree replaced, and you're ready to roll. Contact with these bars is fantastic. We worked on these bars for a long time. They're the same bars we use in Ugly Betty, same bars we use in the Bull Durham, which is a great working saddle that's currently relatively new, but we'll show it to you later. The cantle on the LowDown is balanced out nicely to the fork. So, not bad at all in the way it balances on height. And the thing that people ask me all the time, how high is your cantle? Well, if I measure it the way a lot of folks do that don't know what they're doing anyway, called saddle makers and tree makers, it measures almost 3.5 from right here. Not quite. If I drop the seat down into the bars of the tree, like we do, then your cantle measures 4.5. It's 4.5 from here to here. We add a little bit of leather, we add a little bit of padding as we build the saddle to here, but we also add quite a bit of leather here. So it stays about the same. The angle of the bars on this tree are what make it work literally on any horse. Nice and generously wide. 7 3/4 finished. And it is that would normally drop down, pinch the hell out of a horse on a regular saddle tree. If you look at the twist in these bars, the steep angle, the way they flatten out nicely in the rear, we have enough twist that the bars are brought together here. And by bringing them together, I mean your width here, inside to inside, is only 11 3/4, which is an inch and about 2 inches less than the average little 6 1/4 inch or 6 3/4 inch gullet roper. So we are contacting here, not up here. This gets a hold of the round-backed horse. It gets a hold of the withered horse on the upper rib cage. It does not pinch withers. If it'll set down on this 15-hand Arab mare like this and leave you a slot and leave you contact, then you know what you're dealing with, a little 15-hand Arab mare or a great big quarter horse. Everything works the same with this tree and my other trees. As we twist the bars out at the top, they come together at the bottom. Nobody wants to do that kind of pattern work. That's why you don't find it anywhere else. I started doing this in 1985. I was running with the regular angles, and the ortho-flex saddles were pinching the withers on horses. The regular tree angles, 90 degrees, 45 on each side, pinching withers. I started opening up gullets and bringing bars together and stopped pinching withers. 1985. It worked. So that is the basic lowdown. The Ugly Betty, I haven't shown you yet, but I will, is about this much higher, just slightly more rounded. Different horn normally, but it can be built with this one. Cantle is about this much higher on Ugly Betty. Not much. You've got to look so close at the two saddles when they're built to be sure which it is. But there is a difference. And the set of the bars, the fit to the horse, the feel in the seat is going to be the same for the rider. A little deeper cantle, a little higher fork, a little more rounded, just a touch. Bars are the same. Thank you very much. You've enjoyed what I have passed on about the LowDown Roper. And it includes the calf roper, which is a different horn, a lower cantle. How low can you go? This doesn't look very high compared to most, I know that. But it's got all the depth because you're down against the horse. When you've got your thigh dropping off onto that soft piece of skirting right here, and you have no lumps and bumps here, you've got a ride that you don't get in any roping saddle. You've got a seat that's almost a good flat spot here, very little rise here, just enough to have you a sweet spot when you're standing, leaning against here, getting ready to rope. Thank you very much, Lynn Brown. I hope you enjoyed the LowDown Roper.